Good morning, you beautiful people. So we are in Damian's forest today. This is Lucky. And this patch right here has been bothering me for quite a while. It's right as you enter from the gate. From there, get into Damian's forest. You see all of that veg there, and then you see all of these things that we would call wheat. Now, let me show you quickly. Looks like this, and doesn't smell like much. It's not exactly the same as the John Deere flowers, you know, the green ones with the little flowers on it. And I couldn't identify it yet, and I don't know what the use is. What I do know is that the pigs will eat them. And so in my comments we spoke about the weeds, and I spoke about how we teach the kids to protect the sun. There was this one African lady that spoke about the earth being a shy lady. She wants to be covered. I think that was such a nice metaphor. For the life of me, I can't remember the YouTube channel, but she's got some projects in Africa, and Permaculture lady as well. In any case, and I thought about a conversation I had with a pig farmer the other day. We went to this very commercial, very motorized, very automatic sort of pig farm. It was so intense that I couldn't take I had to take my shoes off before entering the person's office, and I was never allowed to even see one pig. I could hear them, smell them, etc., but I was never even allowed in the pig cages. I never saw one pig. But it reminded me of driving there, and I saw these fields, and fields were filled with wild watermelons. And I asked the owner, you know what, don't you just want to take, I know obviously it's a commercial farm and you feed them very specifically, but don't you just want to take 2 or 3 of them and put them on one side and just feed them these watermelons? And he said, you know what, my pigs has to be ready within 3 months. They have to go from 0 to I think 100 and something kilograms. Then we slaughter them. And if you do that with a pig, it takes them more than a year, so no, it's not worth the while. And I thought, okay, well, it's not going to cost him anything, you know, take 2 baby pigs and put them on one side, but I left that to myself. And the other day, or when somebody commented earlier today that we should feed these things to the pigs, I thought, you know what, this is not going to put any weight on the pig. And then I thought, I'm handling exactly the same way as that owner did. Exactly the same way. I said to myself, yeah, it's fine, ek sal sommer met die hande breek. These things actually break so nice that you don't have to use a knife. It's nicer to use a scissors. My mentality is exactly the same. Let me just see if this camera angle, maybe I should lift it up a little bit. Oh no, it's wide enough. In any case, I'm definitely thinking of feeding these things to the pigs, but they do cover a lot of earth. So if I had to remove all of this and give them to the pigs, bring back the manure and put that in the garden, I think I would add a lot of nutrient value to the land, but I would lose a lot of ground coverage. And so that's the reason I'm not feeding it to the pigs, is because I want to cover the ground. What we want to do here today is just plant bonsai-saadjies. Earth. Got this from some American friends, and jack-o'-lantern American seeds. Now, I've been thinking about this. There's about 8 seeds in every packet. I've only got 2 packets of them, and I want to mix them with some local varieties on that side, and I want to plant them here so I can keep some seeds. There is some pumpkins planted here, but they're a couple of weeks or months ahead of these ones, so I hope they're at least a month ahead of these ones. So I hope that these flowers won't interact and that these ones won't get crossed out. I would like to have some pure jack-o'-lantern babies and have some pure jack-o'-lantern seeds, and so that I can keep a bloodline running of pure jack-o'-lantern babies in Namibia. Okay, so I did a bit of reading. They don't seem to be too difficult. The soil is very fertile. There's lots of organic matter. You might even find a worm in here. It smells very, very nice, earthy. And so we can step about a meter apart. We put 1 meter, one here, lookie. Maak gou vir my glos hierso. Jy vark of wat sommer daai. We can put one here, each one about a meter apart. One here, one here, one here. A step apart, and then they have a place to grow. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, nog verder. So, okay, like that. Okay. So, you just push them in about the depth of our thumb. What I am going to do with these ones, though, that I'm not doing with the other ones, is I'm going to give them lots of worm tea. Just because the worm drum system is right here. And they don't have extra compost. Pumpkins are quite heavy feeders. My compost heaps on that side is not ready for my jack-o'-lanterns yet. So I'm going to give them, definitely going to give them some extra nutrients. I'm not going to put the mulch around them on top of them after I planted them. I'm going to leave them open, but the whole area around them will be mulched and will be dried, or will be, what's the right word, protected from the sun. As you remember, I said Earth is a shy lady. She wants to be covered up. A modest lady. Ja, you can straks sit in daar. And so so what we did with the weeds is we didn't remove them completely, we just chopped them off. Kry vir ons 'n bietjie van daai gooi water daarbo in en dan kry jy daai tee onderuit. Yeah, let me just move the camera quickly, I want to show you something. Okay, 1 second. There's some seeds that we harvested on top there, and the mice got into them. So we're going to plant them still, but there's not as many great seeds as we wanted in there. Al die spreer af. Ja, laat die pipe net loop. Okay, so how this works is there's some worms here, and we feed this thing with manure. Then the worms move up. At the bottom there's a little hole where the worm tea will come out. Right over there. And when you want to harvest compost, you can harvest it from here. The shovel fits in there quite nicely, and you get a very good clean compost. I see it's been harvested without being pushed down, so it needs to be, when it starts looking like clay, you know it's a good, sorry, I see I'm behind the thing. When it starts looking like clay, then you know you've got a good compost going. Okay, daar next to every plant, langs elke plantjie, gooi so 'n handjie. So, los hom net die water so. Yes, so what I'm telling him is next to each plant, next to each hole, he must just put a handful of this worm compost there. Let's get some worm tea going. Okay, I see my holes are a bit stuffed, so I'm going to scoop it out like this. The system is not working the way it's supposed to. After you do this, then you go back and hug your wife. That's how you build immunity, and then she's got grounds to leave you as well. Okay. Lookie, I quickly, laat ek gou die camera wys. Okay, so this is a bit more intense than it should be. It should flow naturally, slowly from the worm bin, but this is what we've got. Okay, ja, ek ken 'n bietjie. Ja. yeah, you see the worm tea is rushing out there now. And that's not ideal. That's not the way to do it. In fact, that's the way not to do it. But we've now got a nice worm inoculant there. And I think that is going to be my version of having it planted. We don't have kids here today, unfortunately, as you see. Minette went to buy herself a uniform. Sit water by. And Minette went to buy herself a uniform. Don't want these things to be too deep either. And the kids are resting, and so we're having a slow permaculture day. Okay, what I wanted to say is, because we left the roots, obviously they'll start growing again. But hopefully, by the time they start growing again, the pumpkins will have leaves everywhere, and that will shade them out. So they will still perform their root function and give all the benefits to the earth that they need to, until they're no longer needed, until they're shaded out by the pumpkins. And then from this little spot, hopefully we'll get a nice jack-o'-lantern mix. We work for comments. Please leave a comment. And that's going to be the end of my story. Have a wonderful day.